Hi there, my name is Scott McDonald, and today I'm going to teach you how to do a cradle on Trampwall. Cradles are a fun basic way of changing direction from facing towards the wall to facing outwards. They're essentially a half flip with a half twist from your back to your back, using your feet to push off the wall to change direction and gain power. I recommend wearing light, grippy wrestling shoes if possible, going barefoot if not, but avoid wearing socks like the plague because you need to be able to push your weight into the face of the wall without fear of slipping. Before learning how to cradle on wall, you should already be comfortable doing cradles in the bed, swivel hips, and running the wall. Also, because it doesn't actually go upside down, the cradle tends to be a pretty approachable trick for beginners on wall. However, when you land on your back, it pretty automatically puts you into a pullover. This isn't going to be an issue for the first few drills in this video, but when you go for the cradle itself, you should definitely have a pullover first. If you already know how to pull over, great, but if you don't, head on over to my tutorial over here and you can learn 2 tricks for the price of 1. Free. With that in mind, let's get started. Before we do the first drill, I just want to quickly discuss twisting direction versus stance. The conventional wisdom is to twist away from your top foot, meaning if your right foot is on top, you would be twisting left and vice versa. If you run with your left foot on top and you twist left, that's fine. I just recommend switching stance when you enter the cradle itself because it's much easier to change your running stance than it is to change your twisting direction. It is possible to run and twist with the same foot on top, but it tends to feel like you're getting caught up on yourself or tangled, so I don't recommend learning that way. For our first drill, run the wall, place your feet pretty low with the correct foot on top for whichever direction you prefer to twist, and connect in this narrow staggered stance with a quick 1-2 rhythm. Bring your torso upright. You should be at least horizontal with your head and your chest when your feet first make contact with the wall, and continue to lift your torso as you push your feet into the wall beneath yourself. You want to push your weight through your feet so that you go upwards rather than outwards. Lift your arms straight overhead and bring your feet directly beneath you to land bouncing on your feet on the tramp. Finding your placement can be a little weird at first because all you get to see is this giant wall in front of you, but it will get easier with subsequent drills. If you already know how to do a swan dive, try and mimic the takeoff for that, but with infinitely less effort. And if you don't know how to swan dive, then good news, you're getting a head start on that by working on your cradles. For our second drill, you're going to do everything identically to the first, but now you're going to add a quarter turn. And this usually gets a little easier because now you get visual reference points besides just wall in front of your face. The important thing here is to make sure everything turns in unison. You don't want your head to be getting ahead of your shoulders to be getting ahead of your hips to be getting ahead of your feet, and so on, or the opposite. So now we're already at a quarter flip with a quarter twist. That means we're already halfway there. And really this last part is the easier bit because all you have to do is push off a little bit more aggressively from the wall and then commit to just falling to your back. There's not really that much difference in power, it's mostly a mental game, so I recommend having a friend push a mat for you as long as it takes to get comfortable just falling to your back. You also get way more visual reference points now, so as you turn around, I recommend spotting the springs on the far side of the trampoline, as this will let you gauge how far across the trampoline you're going to land. As you fall to your back, bend at the knees, bend at the hips, get your arms in front of you, and let the back of your head touch as you shift your gaze to spot where you're going to do a pullover to. Make sure you're not keeping your head off the trampoline, as this can cause whiplash. As you get comfortable doing the cradle to a mat, start mentally prepping to pull over afterwards. Even though the mat is deadening your bounce, the moment it comes out, you're going to end up doing a pullover. For this reason, I recommend doing your first cradles without a mat with very minimal height and power so the pullover will be a little less scary to control. Once you can take the mat out and do this complete motion, voila, you've got a brand new cradle. Congratulations. Most of the issues people have with cradles tend to come from rushing, and rushing tends to come from fear or a lack of confidence in the technique. As a result, most of these issues will resolve themselves with practice, but if you can feel yourself doing any of these specific things, try to fix that now. Aggressively stomping the wall with both feet, or pushing yourself too far out, or staying so close that you feel like you're going to headbutt the wall is not going to help you. Have a narrow, staggered stance and try to guide yourself up and over the bed. Twisting with your arms in front of you, bending at the waist or the shoulders, or trying to scoop your heels in a circular motion behind yourself is going to cause you to start flat spinning or going crooked. Make sure that you're lifting your arms straight overhead and pulling your feet directly beneath yourself while turning, just like swivel hips. Rushing to spot the springs on the far side of the trampoline will make your head get ahead of your shoulders, and you really don't want that. Make sure everything is twisting in unison, which you can do by flexing your abs and just gently turning as one unit. Lastly, make sure you're not flipping too aggressively or too hesitantly. If you feel like you can't land flat on your back, just keep on drilling to a mat until you can. So now that you can do a cradle, let's look at a few of the ways you can make it better or more interesting. As with all things, integrating your cradle into combos and training it at greater heights will improve your control and confidence very quickly. I like to stylize my cradle by doing different arm and leg positions, especially keeping my arms by my sides, so I recommend you experiment with different shapes and see what appeals most to you. Also, if your Trampwall is enclosed like this one, you can experiment with cradle transfers from wall to wall. When you feel comfortable enough to start doing variations, you can try a full twisting cradle or even a double full twisting cradle. Also, this is not a variation, but for future reference, a cradle is an awesome prerequisite for full twisting swan dives. So congratulations, you're making headway on that too. Anyway, I think that's enough cradle info for one day. As always, if you enjoyed this, please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments section if you have any questions or requests for future videos. Head over to my Instagram and check it out at Scott A. McDonald. And yeah, best of luck with your cradles. Happy training. Bye.